wants to see what real hatred looks like coming from a very little man? Buckle up. From his skull, from his little toe, this is what hate looks like.
Buy a gun.
Now, to be fair, he's talking about how the world's getting even worse. And maybe owning a firearm might be a good way to protect yourself due to how the world's getting even worse. But then he made this remark in a separate video. And the reason why that's a bit concerning is that the term transphobe or transphobia, as we know, has been diluted down to almost nothing, that even the slightest transgression and or disagreement could mean that someone could be regarded as transphobic, meaning that most people could be fair game.
Transphobic. Transphobe. Transphobes. Transphobia.
Oh boy.
Hey!
Now here we see him making the argument that trans women are actual women. And here he is trying to make the argument that if real biological women cannot function as such, maybe because of a myriad of reasons, then they should be considered with as much disdain as actual trans women. Or with as much disdain as he perceives we have for trans women. Which of course is never the case. But here he goes.
You hear that? Women that can't have a child?
Do you hear of women who are born with all the right parts as biology intended?
That might not have a uterus, that have maybe gone through menopause.
You're literally describing all the things that biological women have to contend with.
That are maybe older or just have a dysfunction where they don't have a period.
Meaning that something that should function the way that it should isn't. That's different from someone not having the right components to begin with. Fucking make it make sense or I'm gonna go to the next clip.
They don't have children, or maybe they don't have breasts at all.
You mean like trans women? You know, men dressed as women, or men who are trans women who proclaim that they're real women and we have to believe them, or else?
Do you like not being considered a woman?
No, not when they're real, actual women.
Legislation that we keep seeing pass banning drag shows.
In a lot of his videos, he accuses a lot of other people for spreading misinformation, which is exactly what he's doing right now. Yeah, when we stand against drag shows, we mean drag shows for children. But you fucking knew that, didn't you?
Banning life-affirming care.
You mean lying and manipulating children under the false pretense that they might be trans so they can go under surgery? Fucking riot them against that shit. Hit 18, do what you like.
Don't make them feel comfortable. Don't make them feel comfortable. You don't have to
Like I have already said, and like it's been said by so many fucking people at this point, the terms transphobic and transphobia have very little value. And I suspect you apply those terms to a great many number of people, which probably explains why you're such a disgusting, unpleasant little worm.
I fight for civil rights.
On TikTok. To me, that's the equivalent of putting a post-it note on a random building somewhere that says, "Don't be racist," or something. You're not doing anything, you just sat in your backside whilst... Wait, maybe I'm being a bit too presumptuous. Let him carry on, let him speak, let him tell us exactly how he's making these important changes.
And for the respect of people everywhere.
I think that's it. He just wants to be liked, loved, and admired and get attention from people. People of whom he's pandering to. But again, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions. Let's listen to a bit more.
For justice and liberty for all.
Well, fuck me. A lot of your videos say the exact opposite.
This is what you do. You pretend that homophobia, transphobia is a joke and something not to actually take seriously.
When it comes to your perception of transphobia, no, we're not going to take it seriously.
Like, thousands of people don't get murdered for this every day.
So if a trans person is murdered, as horrible as that is, it must be because the perpetrator was transphobic. That's it, there's no other reason, it must be because of that, and that's it, end of story. I mean, unless he's referring to this trans-genocide thingy, of which I have yet to hear a cogent and sane explanation for.
And that millions of people in our country are affected by it daily.
Pause to read. He cares about us all. He cares about so many people. That was sarcasm. He's actually a very disgusting little wretch. And thankfully it doesn't seem to be working because that viewership is small potatoes. All this guy wants to do is chase clout on the back of trans people. Oh, I almost don't want to say this. This is a very hateful man. Now, in my experience, hate tends to either grow or dissipate. If the day ever comes for this guy where he drops all that hatred, then I will gladly sit him down and share a beer with him and have a chat. But this current version of him, no.